On this episode of Introverse Uncharted, one of the most important holidays of the year is approaching. No, not Christmas. Not Halloween. No, not the 4th of July. Mother's Day. So drop what you're doing. Make sure you got a card. Make sure you got the flowers. Make sure you got the chocolates. And tune into this episode of Introverse Uncharted, which is about everything mom. Happy Wednesday, everybody, and welcome back to your weekly episode of Introverse Uncharted. My name is John. I'm going to be your guide into the Introverse. And as always, the purpose of this show is to remove the gravity from your world, take that weight off the shoulders, and take you on a journey through the stars. How's it going, guys? How's the week going? Again, it's Wednesday, hump day, and as always, I know that sometimes getting to this point of the week can be an absolute pain. So, if it's been an absolute pain, then you might owe yourself a strong beverage. If it hasn't been a pain and you're having a solid week, give yourself that beverage anyway. You owe it to yourself. It's not always easy to get to this point of the week. Halfway for me was always the drag your heels point of the week. So I appreciate that you guys have made it this far. You're doing the best you can, and you've tuned in to this week's episode of Introverse Uncharted, which is going to be super cool. It's going to be super fun. It's going to have its ups, its downs. It's going to have its emotional ride, but we'll get into that here in a minute, because first, we got to take care of the housekeeping, right? And the housekeeping is, as always, this is an amateur podcast, so noise is entirely possible, all right? So my dogs, my kid, my wife, my dad lives here. Anything is possible on this show. My window's open. It's nice outside. Anything could happen, I apologize in advance if you guys hear some background noise, but it is what it is. I got my fan on. It's getting hot, So if you hear any of that stuff, I deeply apologize. Try to ignore it, Do what I do. Tune it out, Do what you got to do. Second, where can you find more Introverse Uncharted content? God, I just keep asking myself over and over and over again, where can all of these awesome people find more Introverse Uncharted content? Boy, do I have the answer for you. TikTok. Go check out TikTok at Introverse_Uncharted. I post there almost every day, if not multiple times a day. Sometimes it's goofy. Sometimes it's about this podcast. Sometimes it's about me going on walks and trying to lose some pounds and trying to motivate you to step into your life journey. Go over to Instagram at Introverse_Uncharted13, where for the most part, I just post about what is coming up here on this show, Introverse Uncharted, every Wednesday. Go over to Facebook. Same kind of thing, right? I post about when we're going to put out episodes, what those episodes are going to be about. Anything you want to know about Introverse Uncharted happens here, happens on Instagram, happens on Facebook at Introverse Uncharted. What are you doing? Why are you still sitting here? Go check them out. Pause this video. I'll wait. Are you not going? Oh. It's kind of disappointing, but okay. All right, I'm sorry. Please hit the pause button. Like, follow, share, subscribe to this channel, hit that bell button, because the episodes are just going to get more ridiculous. I mean good. In a good way. Not in a bad way. Sorry. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell button for more Introverse Uncharted content. And now, to the pre-flight checks. When we were doing space episodes, we started getting these nifty little names for the segments that I do in the show. Pre-flight checks. Pre-flight checks are just kind of weekly updates on the cool stuff that's happening. Things that I think are important, sports, weather, stuff like that. This one's kind of sports heavy. So let's just get into it, all right? If you haven't done so yet, go back to the Introverse Uncharted page, check out last week's episode on Mental Health Awareness Month. It was a really good episode. It was really deep. We talked about how to dig yourself out of the mental hole, out of the physical hole, and get to doing the things that you love doing. And once you're done with that episode, go to the review episode of WWE Backlash 2023. If you're a professional wrestling buff, you're going to love that episode. I talk about every match that happened in that fire pay-per-view. If you're not a wrestling fan, go watch it anyway. Because maybe, like my wife, I'll convert you into being a wrestling fan. Who knows? And then we can do more stuff like that here together. I digress. Last night on Raw, Seth Rollins won the Raw tournament to advance for a match, for an opportunity at the new World Heavyweight Championship at Night of Champions. On Friday, we'll see who goes against him at Night of Champions for the new World Heavyweight title. Tune in next week and I'll tell you what that match is going to look like. And your boy is working on going live on YouTube for the May 27th Night of Champions pay-per-view. Now, don't sign any checks, right? There's a process that I have to go through. I didn't realize that YouTube has some hoops you got to jump through to go live. But your boy's working on it. So, tune in. Stay tuned. And then we're going to do some cool stuff for that pay-per-view. On to the bad news. If you are a Colorado Avalanche fan like me, Captain Gabriel Landeskog is going to miss all of next season because he's having surgery to repair some cartilage. He has to have a transplant. So, he's going to miss all of next season, just like he missed all of this season. So, kind of a downer before we even get to next season. But, again, I digress. Go Avalanche. Hopefully next year we can recoup our playoff loss from this year. And finally, I don't know where all you guys are watching from. I assume a decent chunk of you are my Colorado friends. Isn't this weather getting awesome? Like today it was so sunny. Last night we had some like evening thunderstorms with a little bit of rain. Super nice. I hope that you guys are taking time when you're not working, when you're not dealing with all the heavy stuff of the day, all the hustle and bustle. I hope you guys are enjoying some time outside under the blue sky, under the nice puffy clouds and the green grass under the trees that are blooming now. I hope you guys are enjoying that. Go grill something, and again, maybe a strong beverage. Strong beverages, you don't need very many excuses for strong beverages. So, go get yourself a strong beverage and enjoy that outside. Read a book, listen to some tunes, pull up a podcast. Enjoy the awesome weather, because I know I am. I'm so happy that it's back. Honestly, I'm more of a winter guy. Not even going to lie. I like the earlier nights. I like the holidays. I like all that stuff. I like the cliche winter things. The hot chocolate, the plaid pajamas, all that stuff. So, I do have to say, though, I am enjoying the weather finally getting nice, spending some time outside. Got a weekend trip to Breckenridge coming up with my wife and a couple awesome friends. So, looking to enjoy some more of this nice weather, and hopefully it stays this way for a while, you know? With that being said, though, that's the end of the pre-flight checks. And now, we head towards ignition.
Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
All right, everybody. So, if you saw the weird little intro that whichever weird guy hosts this show decided to do today, just on a whim, then you know that there is an important holiday coming up at the end of this week. And again, it's not Christmas. It's just finally getting nice outside. It's not Halloween. It's not spooky up in here. The lights are orange, but it's not spooky, okay? And it's not the 4th of July, but that is coming too. That's going to be pretty awesome too. It's Mother's Day, man. Mother's Day is coming up. End of the week. So, I hope that you all give your mom a call and tell her how much you appreciate her. Talk about all the good stuff. Take her out for lunch. Get her the flowers, get her the chocolates, get her the cards. Do all that good stuff for your moms. When I was this is why in the intro I was saying this episode is going to have its ups and downs, right? For those of you who tuned in to last week's episode on mental health, you'll know that my mom passed away May 2017. So May 1st, 2017, we just hit 6 years since my mom's been gone. With that said, though, this episode isn't going to be all about the bad. Okay, it's not going to be the down in the dumps episode. I want to talk about some of the things that I still think about when I think about my mom, that make me excited and that make me have those fond nostalgia memories, that are also things that I try to do with my child, and I try to encourage my wife to do with my child. And our 4-year-old is smart and he's growing up fast, so I'm trying to incorporate a lot of these cool things that my mom showed me when I was young. Okay, so I just I jotted down a couple bullet points of things that I got from my mom, taste wise, when it comes to music, when it comes to movies, when it comes to TV, stuff like that. And then I also jotted down just a couple of things that I do with my kid now and stuff like that, that my mom used to do with me. We're going to start with one of those. One of the things that my mom used to do with me every year was we would take spring break, little vacations, little mini, they're more like staycations, okay? We used to just go to, Estes Park, Colorado, and hang out up there for a week. That was a her and I thing, something that, I don't think in any of the times that her and I did that, I don't think my dad came, I don't think any siblings came, I think it was just her and me. Taking a week to just, be a mom and a son and be friends and have a good time. I learned a lot of fun stuff up there and did a lot of fun stuff up there. I went horseback riding with my mom. That's fun. I really don't do it very much anymore, but it's one of those things that I wish I did more because my mom loved it, and it's cool to think about those kinds of things and to do those kinds of things. And we used to go up into Rocky Mountain National Park. They have a waterfall called the Alluvial Fan right on the east side of Rocky Mountain National Park. And it's like a little 8-fingered waterfall where there was once a really big flood. So we used to go up there, and especially if we had more family, because we used to go up there for other events too, not just spring break. But like our family would always, my cousins would be trying to climb the waterfall, which as a kid I was like, nah, that's not a thing I'm doing. I'm not climbing the waterfall. Now I climb the waterfall almost every time I'm up there. It's awesome. It's not hard. It's pretty novice. And once you get to the top, the view of the valley is really nice, and there's this little like wake pond up at the top, just super calm water at the top of this huge waterfall. Super cool. But I wouldn't have ever known about any of that stuff had my mom not taken me up there to experience it and do that kind of stuff. So those spring break trips were always something I really looked forward to. We did them, every year all the way up until she got sick, which I would have been in high school the first time that she got sick. I think I was a freshman. So yeah, I mean, elementary school and middle school, that was an all-the-time thing. And then once she got sick, she had emphysema and COPD. So altitude made it really hard for her to breathe. So we couldn't do the high-altitude mountain trips anymore. But I love those trips. And to this day, so my wife and I, we had our honeymoon in Estes Park. Once a year, generally on our anniversary, we go up there. Now we've made it kind of a twice-a-year thing. We actually went up for Valentine's Day this year. So pretty cool. Like I said, it's just a way for me to continue that trip. One of the things that I always noticed, and as a kid I thought it was really weird, is on the way up to Estes Park, my mom was always super pumped to go to Estes Park. And then on the way down, it was a whole lot more quiet. Because she was sad. Okay? I didn't know that as a kid. As a kid, I just was like, oh, mom's tired. We got a long drive home. It's like an hour and a half home. No, she was sad. She was sad that she had to leave some place that she considered home. And one of the reasons we moved out here to begin with, I'm originally from Rochester, New York. Shout out to all my upstate New York family who tunes into this. That's still, I still consider that home. When people ask me where I'm from, I still say that, even though we left New York when I was 2. We left New York when I was 2 because my mom heard Rocky Mountain High by John Denver and saw pictures of the Rockies, and she wanted to come out here and experience it and live in it. So that's what we did. We moved out here in '98 and been here ever since. But the mountains were always just a big thing for her, and that's why they're a big thing for me. And even throughout my adult life, when I've considered leaving the state and trying out new things, the mountains are always one of those things that kind of keep me grounded and keep me here because, again, it's some place that makes me happy. It makes me think about my mom. And now that she's not around anymore, I do cherish going up there with my wife and my kid. I'm sure a lot of people's moms used to do this kind of stuff, right? But my mom used to love going for ice cream. That was like one of her and I's things. I'd just come home from school occasionally. She'd be like, hey, let's go get some ice cream. And sometimes it was in town. Like sometimes there was like a place called CJ's Custard that was really good. She always said it reminded her of Abbott's Custard, which is more of a back east, upstate New York thing. So we did that, and but her idea, this is gonna get crazy, right? Her idea for going and getting ice cream was a 45-minute drive to Evergreen, Colorado from suburban Littleton to go to a Baskin Robbins, it's still there, that's by Bear Creek on the way up to, like, in the town of Evergreen. I still do that. That is one of the things I do with my son and my wife, is if somebody says, let's go for ice cream, it's never just to the Dairy Queen that's 2 minutes from home. It's almost always up to the mountains. Honestly, like, there have been days where I just go up there and that's literally it. I just go get ice cream and then come back. Yeah, spend some gas, right? But it's not about the gas. It's not about all that. It's just about having family time. And that's, when I was really little, those things were just things that my mom and I enjoyed together. So I try to keep those things and do those things with my kid, Super fun. Not that expensive to just go do ice cream, So something I enjoy, Talking everything mom. So those are things that when I think about my mom, I think about Estes Park. I think about Evergreen for ice cream. I think about all that kind of stuff. But I also think about my mom had an absolute love for music. Music and movies and TV. My mom was into all of it, okay? And a lot of my musical taste came from her, and I know that my siblings also share in that same thing, right? So my mom's favorite rock band of all time, at least that I am aware of growing up, was Metallica. So one of the first albums I remember listening to cover was the Black Album by Metallica. I still love a lot of the songs on there, as do a lot of rock fans out there. The Black Album, in my opinion, is probably the best album that Metallica has ever made. Not too long ago, I actually got to see Metallica at Mile High Stadium, which was pretty cool. So just another one of those things that I've held for a long time. I like jamming to Metallica, and that was definitely one of my mom's things. When I would get up for school in the morning, the channel I would turn on is CMT, so Country Music Television, and between 7 and 8 in the morning, they would do just music videos. So my mom really loved the Zac Brown Band, so she loved when they came on. Darius Rucker, he also sings for Hootie and the Blowfish. He's Hootie. She loved him too. So those are all things, I jam a lot of Darius Rucker still. I jam a lot of Zac Brown still. They all have some great hits, and those are all things that remind me of my mom. And that we would share together. Which is, if she were still here, these would be things that we're doing this Sunday for Mother's Day. What are you guys doing with your mom for Mother's Day, What do you guys got planned? How about we talk, what about you take her to a movie? You go watch some movies or something, right? So, when I was a little kid, I got to see, this shouldn't date me. I don't think that it'll date me, because I'm not that out of range on this, I think. But I saw Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, in theaters with my mom. And then I saw Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, in theaters with my mom. My dad actually came with us to Revenge of the Sith, and he fell asleep. He would still fall asleep. It's not uncommon. He's never been really a Star Wars buff. But cool that I saw 2 Star Wars movies in theaters. And I'm aware that there's a decent amount of people out there who don't like the prequel movies. It's okay to be wrong. It's okay. The 4, 5, and 6, A New Hope through Return of the Jedi, just kind of are empty if you don't know where Anakin came from, okay? He's the chosen one. He brings balance to the Force, and he does it through the process. Just my Star Wars rant of the day, as May 4th was only 5 days ago. The last movie I ever saw with my mom, I still love this movie, and any, I think, sports fanatic out there would put this movie probably in their top 10. Moneyball. I saw Moneyball with my mom. It's the last movie I ever saw with my mom. She wasn't doing great at the time, but she muscled it up and definitely made it through that movie, and it's still one of my all-time favorites. Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, they absolutely crushed that movie. It is an amazing movie. Philip Seymour Hoffman is in that movie. He's also Dusty in Twister, which is my all-time favorite movie. So, now you know. I can't believe that I skipped this when we were talking about music just a few minutes ago, but John Denver. I mentioned that my mom moved out here after listening to Rocky Mountain High, essentially. So, if I had a nickel for every time I had to watch the 2-disc DVD set of the John Denver Wildlife concert, I would have more money than you would probably expect me to have based on that information. She made me watch it a lot, but that's because she enjoyed it, and she always loved listening to John Denver. One of those pride moments for me is there was a night right after my son was born that he just wouldn't stop crying. And for any of you who are parents out there, you know those nights. 2:30 in the morning, you're on no sleep, you're at the end of your wit, you're just done, and that baby is not going to go to sleep. So you just start trying to dip into whatever bag of tricks you possibly have. And the bag of tricks that I whipped into was John Denver. So I put Sunshine on My Shoulders on my phone, just like on his crib. And I sat on the floor and just sang Sunshine on My Shoulders. And for a lot of you who know me, even if you don't know me, I did choir for a long time, so I'm not the worst singer in the world, but I'm also not the best singer in the world. So, I will try to not sing on this show. I'm just kidding. I'm going to do it. You know I'm going to do it eventually. Not right now, though. So, yeah, Sunshine on My Shoulders, and he fell asleep in seconds. I didn't even make it through the whole song. And I just remember, sending my brother and sister a text that was like, okay. So, Mom gave me a helping hand for that one, I think. It's happened with other things, too. My mom's was a big Billy Joel fan. My brother, also a huge Billy Joel fan. New York State of Mind is definitely something that always reminds me of my mom. Piano Man. But one of the first songs that I ever got my son to dance to, to actually, move his little baby body around to, was Uptown Girl. So, I definitely remember that text message to my brother being like, your nephew is jamming to Uptown Girl right now. So, that's pretty cool. Again, these are just all things that, my mom showed me them, and then they have come in handy to me in other forms now that I'm a parent. I think that a lot of us, when we're younger, criticize our parents a lot. I know that I did. I definitely did. My mother was in no way a saint by any stretch of the word, but she was my mom, and I love her to death, still love her to this day, miss her every day. She taught me a lot of different lessons than, my dad is hands down one of the hardest workers I've ever met in my entire life. Hardest workers I've ever seen. He's in his, early 60s, and he is still an auto mechanic. He's still cranking it. My dad worked 2 jobs after my parents got divorced in order to just put food on the table. He is the epitome of work ethic, and I think I lack it still at times. I'm temperamental and moody and kind of do whatever I want when I feel like I should, and that comes from my mom. My mom, when she was working, she always had to be the boss. She always had to be in charge. She always had to have things her way. So it's been something that I have definitely adopted. It's not the best trait to have, and I know when it pops up. This is oddly personal thing or whatever, but I have spending issues where I like have trouble saving money, and I impulse buy. That's probably the right terminology, right? I impulse buy. I see something I want and I think, oh, it might not be there later. It's probably going to be there later. But like I trick myself and I use like Amazon's shopping policy, like the whole like there's only 2 of them left. There's more than 2 of them left. They're just trying to get you to buy it. But I fall into the trap and I buy things. My mom was like that all the time, where she would just, ooh, I need that. Ooh, I need that. Again, if I had a nickel for every wolf knick-knack that she had, dear God, ridiculous. I still have 2 glass wolf side tables in my apartment right now. So, yeah, wolves everywhere. Wolves, Native American art, cowboys, all that stuff. When she moved west, she fully adopted the cowboy lifestyle for sure. At least that's what she wanted. She wanted the cowboy lifestyle. Like I said though, Estes Park played a really big role in me and my mom. It's one of my happy places because it was one of our happy places. And one of the reasons is, I'm sure a lot of you know, Colorado native or not, but the Stanley Hotel is in Estes Park, Colorado. Noted for being one of the most haunted hotels in America, if you believe in that kind of stuff. I always kind of have rode the fence. But I've had a lot of awesome memories at the Stanley Hotel, including one of the trips I was up there. I got to, like, midnight ghost hunt. So I was a small child with it was like an LG View. It was like it's the first flat phone that I ever had that had like a camera and all that stuff. So I thought it was a smartphone. It probably wasn't. But shout out to anybody who's had a LG View in their entire life. But I just went, trolling around the floors of the hotel at night with my audio recorder out, talking at nothing. And I went down to the lobby area into the main floor. The night manager was down there, and he asked me what I was doing, and I told him, and he was like, "Oh, you wanna go into the music room?" Now, for any of you who have never been to the Stanley, the music room is normally either roped off or completely closed because it has a very vintage piano in it that was actually owned by Mrs. Stanley. So, owned and played by. So, they don't just let people in there unless they're doing tours and stuff like that, and even then there's like a really strict no touchy policy. So it was cool and my mom had just popped in right as I was talking to the night manager. I think she thought I was in trouble, but she got to be there when I got to go into the music room and do my little impression of Zach Bagels from Ghost Adventures. These are our Ghost Adventures, and I got to talk to nothing. But I will say, younger me was a huge believer. As I've grown older and I've started to get more into the space science side of life, I've become a little bit more skeptical. If you haven't, me and my wife binge-watched BuzzFeed Unsolved. They have a Supernatural edition where Shane Madej and Ryan Bergara, they go to haunted locations, and Shane is a skeptic, Ryan is a believer, and they just try to figure out if ghosts are real. But it has a lot of comedy in it because you got a skeptic and a believer. Now, go check out the We Are Watcher network. They've left BuzzFeed, and they have very similar shows over on We Are Watcher. They actually just did a season of essentially Supernatural, but it was called Ghost Files. Go check it out. They're not paying me, so I don't know why I plugged them like that, aside from I just really love who they are and what they do. They deserve it. They just won a Webby, so like I said, go check them out if you get a second. But yeah, so like I was using my LG View to audio record, and I asked for the piano to be played, which out loud heard nothing, but upon reviewing my phone later, you could hear a couple piano keys. Again, as a skeptic nowadays, I want to figure out how to debunk that, but as nobody else was in there and nobody was near the piano and we didn't hear it out loud, I don't know, maybe static, I don't know. I'm not a professional, definitely not Zach Bagans, or I call him Zach Bagels because me and my wife have that as like an inside joke. We watched enough Ghost Adventures that like just his intro, if you change his last name to Bagels, is pretty hilarious. My name is Zach Bagels. Yeah, just Then he goes all dramatic. I am all over the place with this episode, guys. I'm kind of sorry, but now that I'm trying to not script it as much, this is kind of what we can expect. Hopefully you guys enjoy the show and the babble that happens from me. Back to the Stanley, though. The Stanley, to me, was always the catalyst of why I loved Estes Park. And as a kid, one of the things that I didn't enjoy was The Shining, okay? I grew up with, my mom watched the 3-part miniseries of The Shining, okay? There are 2 different versions of The Shining, for those who do not know. There's the Stanley Kubrick movie with Jack Nicholson. You know, here's Johnny with the axe at the door. So that's that version. Then, Stephen King self-directed the 3-part miniseries for ABC. The 3-part miniseries essentially goes by the novel step by step. Okay, so if you've read the book, you then can understand the movie. That's essentially how that works. As a kid, I always remember getting to the scary parts of that movie and just having nightmares, just being absolutely terrified. Now, hands down, top 3 favorite. I'm gonna call it a movie because it's 6 hours long or whatever, but it's a TV miniseries, but it's one of my favorite things to watch. I can recite it almost word for word. The Shining ended up being a big piece of me and my mom. Whenever, like, snow days would happen or something, or the occasional mom just being like, hey, you want to stay home from school today? The Shining is what we would watch. We would get in all 6 hours, popcorn and just chilling, watching The Shining. Steven Weber was an excellent Jack Torrance, for those of you who haven't seen it. In my opinion, makes way more sense that he's Jack Torrance, because Jack Nicholson is already crazy. Steven Weber just seems like a really cool dad who then loses his mind. Spoiler alert, I guess, if you didn't know the plot. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Don't leave. Don't leave. It's going to be okay. We're going to move on. It's going to be fine. We're going to kind of move on. The reason I brought up The Shining, though, is because my mom loved Stephen King, just in general. At some point, maybe I'll do it for TikTok, or I'll do it in a YouTube short, but above me, right up here, there's a shelf that has probably half of the books Stephen King has ever wrote. I wanted to say 3/4, but I bet that there are more books than I actually know that he has. And I mean, even one of the books up there, it says written by Richard Bachman, and then underneath it says Stephen King, because Stephen King got in trouble at one point for putting out too many books at one time, so he started creating pen names so that he could release more books. Hence, Richard Bachman. So yeah, I mean, me and my brother and my mom, we all have a big thing for Stephen King novels and Stephen King movies. I'm not a horror movie guy, but anytime they do anything with anything Stephen King, I'm going to watch it. The It movies were absolutely fantastic. I can't wait for Welcome to Derry, the HBO Max series. That's going to be super cool. Anything Stephen King, I'm pretty much a buyer into. Maybe at some point I'll rank my favorite Stephen King books and their subsequent movies if they have them. But Stephen King is amazing, and that was something that my mom bestowed upon me. It was just a love for Stephen King's odd mix of humor and horror. So if you guys haven't read very many Stephen King books, go check them out. Like I said, maybe I'll do a video for TikTok or something where I'm telling you which books I recommend that you guys give a shot. Anything Johnny Depp, my mom was into. Pirates, Sleepy Hollow, all of Edward Scissorhands, all of them. Anything that you've ever seen that has Johnny Depp in it, she was absolutely on board for. My mom had the biggest crush on Johnny. She always loved the Pirates movies. Were always huge too. Like they released a box set essentially of like the first 4 Pirates movies. I think they had just done on Stranger Tides, and the box was a treasure chest. So she had like the full treasure chest of of Pirates of the Caribbean movies, which to me, like when she would like grab it, I just always saw my mom being like, I got a jar of dirt, I got a jar of dirt. Yeah, like anything Johnny she was in for. I've seen a lot of Johnny movies that I feel are kind of B-rate, but Pirates will always be my favorite. I'm obviously of the Pirates of the Caribbean generation, but my mom absolutely loved Johnny Depp and essentially everything that Johnny Depp ever had anything to do with. My mom was tough to impress, which I have a feeling a lot of your guys' moms out there were. Growing up, when I was in school, you know, she wanted perfection. She strived for her children to have the best grades possible and to go to college, do all the things that either she couldn't do or didn't do. You know, my mom had my brother young, and so a lot of those opportunities got kind of wiped clean. But she always wanted us to succeed and to have our dreams. For those who know me, the first three quarters of the life that I'm at this point, I wanted to be a meteorologist. I wanted to chase tornadoes for a living. I still get the urge this time of year. There was a sweet supercell outside earlier, so I always get those itches, and she was 100% supportive. 100% supportive of that decision, even if it was the craziest, most dangerous thing that I could have chosen as a 4-year-old, you know, to do. But one of the reasons, again, going back to my mom's love of movies, is Twister, the 1996 movie about storm chasing with Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Carrie Elways, the cast was amazing for that movie. It's still one of my all-time favorite movies. I used to literally put it on just to fall asleep. I could fall asleep before the first tornado. And to be completely honest, this is terrifying, but I can recite every single line in that movie right now if I wanted to. I'm not going to because that would take me 2 hours. But I could recite every single line in that movie. Mostly because of how much me and my mom would watch it. I actually saw on Facebook the other day, I shared a memory with my mom before she passed. There was a t-shirt, and the t-shirt had a quote on it from Twister. So you get to like the third, there's 5 tornadoes in the movie, because the Fujita scale has 5 numbers, you know what I'm saying? Okay, F1, F2, F3, F4, F5. Now it's the enhanced Fujita scale, EF1, EF2, EF3, EF4, EF5. We can divulge into some of my meteorological knowledge at some point, but I sucked at it in college, just so we're aware. But we get to the third tornado. It's halfway through the movie, and Bill Paxton's character, Bill, and Helen Hunt's character, Joe, are having a marital argument. They're in the process of getting divorced. Tensions are high, and they are in the process of... Bill is trying to get Joe away from the tornado so she doesn't die. It's essentially all that's happening in the scene. But I will give you one line from the movie because my mom loved this line. I think because it was just such an emotional line and such a showing of love from Bill's character to Joe's character, even though they were supposed to be going through a divorce and Bill's new fiance is listening over the radio. But Bill says to Joe, things go wrong. You can't explain it. You can't predict it. And killing yourself won't bring your dad back. You've got to move on. Stop looking into the past and look at what you got right in front of you. And she asks him, what are you saying? And he says, me, Joe. It's one of my mom's all-time favorite. The post that I put up for that when I shared the shirt with her, she said that the back should have had Joe's lines or whatever, so they piece up. Because Joe also has a monologue right before that, very similar in context. Sorry for the Twister rant. One of my mom and I's all-time favorites to watch together. Next year, they're apparently releasing Twisters, which is the sequel, with essentially no returning cast, because a lot of them have passed away. Bill Paxton, Philip Seymour Hoffman. So yeah, can't wait to see that dumpster fire. I'm I will Netflix it because it's gonna end up on Netflix, Paramount Plus, or some nonsense. My mom was hard-headed. She was stubborn, but she always wanted the best. She always dreamed big, even if it seemed unattainable. Hence, moving her whole family across the country. She took chances. And those are things that, to me, kind of embody what I'm trying to accomplish here in this podcast. If you've made it this far, because I have mindlessly rambled about things that my mom has enjoyed, which sounds kind of selfish, but I don't know, for a Mother's Day episode, I don't know all your moms. So I just kind of am trying to relate the things that, my mom taught me and that I'm trying to teach my child. I've said it in an earlier episode, I left my other job. The time had just come. The number had clicked. It was time to go. And so I decided no better time to, the first time that I left that specific job, I went to culinary school. And I bettered myself that way. And then ever since then, I've said, I want to do a podcast. And I bought all the equipment and did all the stuff. And I never did it. And I came up with a million reasons not to. This is one of those things for me, right? I feel like I'm taking a chance and I'm doing this and I'm giving it a shot and I hope it pays out. But that's absolutely something that my mom was famous for, was leaving a decent job to gamble on something that her gut said was the right call. And sometimes it was and sometimes it wasn't. One of the last jobs I ever saw my mom do was bartending until 2 o'clock in the morning at a family friend's bar, and then she went to a more commercialized restaurant a little bit after that. But probably some of the happiest I ever saw my mom was doing that. And that, like, before that, in my growing up, she always was like a service writer for car dealerships. So big switch, big change, big gamble, and it paid off for her. She enjoyed it while she had the opportunity to do it. She's who taught me that you got to take chances and that you got to dream big. And I'm going to tell you that it's hard. It's still hard to this day to take those chances and to gamble, especially now that I have a wife and a kid, and it's harder to gamble on these types of things and opportunities. With that said, though, doing stuff like this, leaving one thing to give this kind of thing a shot, I hope that my son sees what it's worth. Mentally, physically, all that stuff. I think that if nobody ever tuned in to this podcast, which I still get a steady stream of viewers. I'm not Markiplier. I still get steady amounts of viewers. If those viewers were 0, I'd still do it. This is pretty therapeutic for me to just kind of blab my thoughts, especially now that I'm excuse me. Now that I'm off script a little bit and I'm not doing the full... Once I get back into, I have a space episode, I think, planned out in a couple weeks. Those are going to be a little more note-spaced because I want to make sure that information I'm belaying to you is correct. But stuff like this, I'm just kind of talking from the gut, talking from the heart, and trying to have a good time. And I think if nobody watched it, I would still do it just because it's fun and I enjoy it. And I think... even if nobody's watching, and again, I've said it before, I'm not the most religious guy on the planet. I don't know what happens after this life, but I'd like to think that even if nobody was watching, my mom would still be watching and wondering why her son is so weird. Because, again, if you saw the intro, if you didn't see the intro, go back and check it out. I think she would love every second of this nonsense that I'm spewing. So I still strive to this day to make her proud. 100%. When she was here, I was doing it. When she's, now that she's gone, I'm doing it. I will be a mama's boy forever. And one of the things I am very proud of is that my son is also a mama's boy. Yeah, every dad wants a son to play baseball with. And I did that with my dad and stuff too, but I was still the ultimate mama's boy, and I will be forever. And for those of you men out there who think that that's some sort of sign of weakness, it is not. I would never trade it for anything. Love my mom to death. I I will be a mama's boy until the day I'm gone. Miss her every single day. And every day I think about, oh, how would she feel about this that I'm doing? And what would she think of that? Oh, I wish I could call her and tell her about this. Oh, my kid, he's potty training. I wish I could call her for advice. Stuff like that. I will be a mama's boy forever, and I'm damn proud of that. So, for those of you out there who share in that, be proud of that. Because one thing is for sure, we all don't last forever. So, love and value your mom while you have a chance, okay? With that being said, we're nearing the end of the episode. So what I do want to say is, Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all of you out there, all of you moms, all of you who are my friends who are moms or whose moms I have known growing up. I've had friends' moms who also might as well be second mom to me. If you check it out, you know who you are. Love you, moms, all of you. My wife's mom. Happy Mother's Day, seriously, to all of you guys, everybody out there. My wife, Anissa. Happy Mother's Day. One of my best friends, Marissa. Happy Mother's Day. Seriously. I can't name them all. My brother's wife, Megan, Happy Mother's Day. My sister, Tanya, Happy Mother's Day. Happy Heavenly Mama's Day to my mom, to my grandma, and to all of the moms out there who are no longer here to have the chocolates and the roses. Happy Mother's Day. Seriously, guys, love your moms while you have a chance, and spoil them, man. Go on out there. Chocolates. Flowers. Get your mom anything she'd like. You know your moms. Don't just take her to Red Robin, okay? If she likes Red Robin, fine. But when I worked at Red Robin, the shocking amount of people who brought their moms to Red Robin, sad. Don't do that. Love your mom. Don't dump that on her. Why would you do that? Sick. Get your together. Seriously. If you guys don't do this right, I swear I'll ramble longer. You might want that. I don't know. I hope you want that. Keep tuning, Keep going. Alright, guys. That's really the bulk of this episode. This episode I didn't have a ton of physical planning for. I didn't really dig deep into the wells. Mother's Day is coming up. I'm actually going to be out of town with a couple of friends for Mother's Day. So I just wanted to make this episode just again to say thank you to all you awesome moms out there. To say Happy Mother's Day to all you awesome moms out there. Keep it up. Sometimes it's hard. Trust me, right now I'm playing stay-at-home dad. Is hands down the toughest job I've ever had in my life. So hats off to all of you out there who went through the process and have done it all. I never could imagine childbirth and stuff like that. You guys are saints, 100%. Keep your heads up and keep doing what you do. You will all deserve all of the prowess and appreciation. So, again, thank you all and happy Mother's Day. In this episode, obviously we just kind of talked about things that my mom and I like to enjoy together and that I want to pass on to my kid, and I hope that you guys get something out of that. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to, you don't have to get specifics out of it, but just taking things that maybe as kids you thought were just things, just things that weren't ground rattling, weren't earth shaking, you know what I mean? Things that you thought were just time filling. Trips for ice cream, weekends in Estes, stuff like that, as examples, and turning them into things that you can do with your family so that you build memories, and eventually maybe your kid will start a podcast and he'll start talking, or he or she, they'll start talking about all the crazy crap you are always down to take your kid to do. Me and my mom did some crazy stuff. I didn't hit it all in this episode. Trust me, I have been close to tornadoes with my mom, just so you know. As always, we're going to end this thing with a quote of the day. It's a longer quote. It's by the author Washington Irving. It is about moms. Shocker, right? So the quote is, "A mother is the truest friend we have. When trials, heavy and sudden, fall upon us, when adversity takes the place of prosperity, when friends desert us, when trouble thickens around us, still will she cling to us and endeavor by her kind prospects and counsels to dissipate the clouds of darkness and cause peace to return to our hearts. So that's the quote of the day. Pretty deep, pretty mom based, you know what I mean? As always, guys, thank you for tuning into the show. It never goes unappreciated, seriously. I love that you guys tune in. I've gotten some text messages this week and stuff telling me to keep it up. So hopefully you guys are enjoying the process and what I'm doing. I thank you guys for your constant viewership here and TikTok and all the other social medias. As always, if you have not, stop what you're doing. Like, follow, share, subscribe to all of the good stuff, okay? Right here on YouTube. Let's get the subscribers going. Talking about doing some lives by the end of the month. TikTok at Introverse_Uncharted. I do TikToks again every day. Instagram at Introverse_Uncharted13 for updates on shows and episodes and what we're doing. And then Facebook at Introverse Uncharted. I hope you guys seriously enjoyed the episode. Happy Mother's Day to all of you moms out there. You all kill it. You're all amazing. And as always, I bid you to do more than just exist. Come with me into the Uncharted. Thanks, guys. See you next week.